Welcome to Rapid Fire Crypto Rundown. Predicting the 2025 market top sun. Let's unpack the possibilities. We're diving into Milk Road's latest analysis. And specifically, this idea of Bitcoin dominance.
Right.
Have you heard of this before?
Yeah, Bitcoin dominance, it's a metric that doesn't get as much hype as, say, like the price of Bitcoin.
Right.
But it's really incredibly useful for understanding market cycles.
Okay.
So in the simplest terms, Bitcoin dominance, or BTCD, tells us what percentage of the total cryptocurrency market cap belongs to Bitcoin.
Okay, so it's like a power dynamic.
Exactly.
We can see how much influence Bitcoin has over the entire crypto space.
Yeah.
So how does this Bitcoin dominance thing help us figure out where the market might be headed?
Well, Milk Road presented this chart
Okay.
that tracks BTCD over time. And what's really fascinating is they highlighted these two distinct peaks.
Okay.
One occurred back in the previous cycle and the other just last month.
2 peaks, huh? That sounds like it could be significant. What happened after that first peak? Did things get wild?
They absolutely did. That's the key takeaway here.
Okay.
Following that first peak, Bitcoin dominance dropped. And wouldn't you know, we saw this incredible surge in altcoins.
Oh, wow.
It was altcoin season in full swing.
Hold on. You're telling me that by watching how much of the market Bitcoin controls,
Yeah.
we might be able to anticipate when those altcoins are going to take off.
Yeah, that's the idea.
That's pretty powerful stuff.
It is.
Okay, so we've got this potential altcoin season brewing, but
Right.
let's zoom in on Ethereum for a second.
Sure.
Milk Road pointed to the ETH BTC chart as a sign of things to come.
Yeah.
What's the story there?
So this particular chart tracks the price of Ethereum relative to Bitcoin.
Okay.
Think of it as like a tug of war between the two crypto giants.
Okay.
And guess what? It looks like ETH might be bottoming out, potentially gearing up for a move upward.
Interesting. So ETH could be gaining strength against Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Is there anything else in the charts that backs up this idea? No.
Here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
If you compare this ETHTC chart to the Bitcoin dominance chart from earlier, you'll notice a pretty striking similarity.
Okay.
Back in the previous cycle, when BTCD dropped, we saw a very similar shift in the ETH-BTC pairing. It's almost as if they're mirroring each other.
So history might be repeating itself.
Exactly.
That's a good sign for Ethereum fans.
It could be.
But Milk Road also mentioned ETH ETFs.
Right.
They're grabbing a bigger piece of the investment pie compared to BTC ETFs.
Yeah.
What's the significance of that?
This is where we see how investor sentiment is shifting.
Okay.
The data from Farside shows that a larger percentage of investment flows are going into ETH ETFs compared to those focused on Bitcoin.
Okay.
It's a subtle but important indicator.
So more money is flowing into Ethereum through these ETFs.
Right.
Does that mean people are starting to favor Ethereum over Bitcoin in the long run?
It's too early to say for sure.
Yeah.
But it definitely suggests a growing interest in Ethereum's potential. And remember, when institutional money starts moving,
Right.
it can have a significant impact on the market.
Right. It's not just about the tech anymore. It's about who's putting their money where.
Exactly.
But let's get to the big prediction
Okay.
that 2025 market top Milk Road is talking about.
Yeah.
They drew some lines on the BTCD chart.
Mm-hmm.
What's the story there?
So they marked the peaks of the last two bull runs on that chart.
Okay.
What's interesting is that those peaks happened roughly 10 to 11 months after Bitcoin dominance peaked each time.
Mm-hmm.
Then they projected a third line forward from that potential peak we saw last month.
Okay. I'm seeing where you're going with this.
Yeah.
So if that pattern holds true,
Right.
that third line points to a potential market top around October 2025. Whoa.
Yeah.
So potentially a whole year of this market heating up
Right.
before it potentially cools down again.
Yeah.
But let's bring it back down to earth for a second.
Okay.
What does all this mean for our listener, for you?
Right.
How could they actually use this information?
Well, if this prediction plays out, the next year could be incredibly exciting.
Okay.
We could see both Bitcoin and altcoins accelerating in price, but with altcoins potentially leading the charge,
Mm-hmm.
that could create some amazing opportunities for those who understand the dynamics we're talking about here.
Okay, I have to ask, though.
Yeah.
We've been hearing a lot about institutional investors getting into crypto.
Right.
Doesn't that usually mean Bitcoin is their go-to?
It's true that Bitcoin has often been the entry point for institutions,
Mm-hmm.
but that doesn't mean they're ignoring everything else.
Right.
Milk Road even pointed out that BlackRock, the world's largest asset manager,
Oh, wow.
recently suggested a 2% Bitcoin allocation for portfolios.
That doesn't sound like much, but Coming from a behemoth like BlackRock.
It's a big deal.
Right.
It's a sign that even the most traditional financial players are recognizing Bitcoin's potential role in a diversified portfolio.
Okay.
And as more institutions dip their toes into crypto, it lends legitimacy to the entire space, paving the way for greater adoption down the line.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe those 2% allocations will start creaking higher as they get more comfortable with crypto.
It's possible.
So we've got this potential market top on the horizon signs of an altcoin season brewing institutions getting involved.
Right.
It's a lot to process.
It is a lot.
What's the most important thing for our listener to keep in mind as they navigate all this?
The key is to remember that these are predictions based on historical patterns.
Right.
And the crypto market is notoriously unpredictable.
Yeah.
Nothing is guaranteed, but understanding these indicators and trends can help us make more informed decisions.
Knowledge is power, right?
Yeah.
And speaking of knowledge, this whole conversation wouldn't be possible without the great analysis from Milk Road.
Yeah, they do a fantastic job breaking down these complex topics and highlighting these trends that even seasoned crypto enthusiasts might miss.
Could agree more. So to all our listeners out there, a quick reminder to stay ahead of the curve and subscribe to Milk Road for your daily dose of crypto wisdom.
Yeah.
You'll find the link in the description.
Absolutely.
But before we wrap up, let's go back to this idea of altcoin season.
Okay.
If it really kicks off, how should our listener approach it?
Yeah.
What should they be looking for?
It's easy to get caught up in the hype when everyone's talking about altcoins going to the moon.
Right.
But remember, not all altcoins are created equal.
All right. It's not like just throwing darts at a board and hoping something sticks.
Exactly.
What should our listener prioritize when doing their research?
I'd say focus on the fundamentals.
Okay.
Look for projects with strong teams, real-world utility, and a solid track record.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just FOMO into something because it's pumping on Twitter.
Right.
The goal is to build long-term wealth, not just make a quick buck.
So it's about looking beyond the hype and understanding the actual value a project is trying to bring to the world.
Exactly.
But even with all this talk about altcoins, Bitcoin is still the king. Right.
Oh,
Not going away anytime soon.
Bitcoin is the OG cryptocurrency. It's a store of value, a hedge against inflation. And its adoption is only increasing. Even if altcoins outperform in the short term, Bitcoin is likely to remain a core holding for most investors.
It sounds like finding that balance is key.
Yeah.
Having a mix of Bitcoin and carefully chosen altcoins.
Exactly.
But speaking of all these predictions and potential market moves,
Right.
we have to acknowledge that nothing is set in stone.
Right.
What if things don't unfold exactly as Milk Road and others were predicting?
That's a great point.
Yeah.
The crypto market is known for its volatility and unpredictability.
Mm-hmm.
We can analyze trends, look at historical patterns, but ultimately no one has a crystal ball.
So how can our listener prepare for the unknown? What are some practical steps they can take?
It's all about risk management.
All right.
Having a plan in place, diversifying their portfolio and not getting caught up in the hype.
Right.
Don't invest more than you can afford to lose. And remember that patience is often rewarded in the crypto world.
That's some solid advice. And even with all the risks, there's a sense of optimism in the air, isn't there? This feeling that crypto is on the verge of something big.
Absolutely. The crypto space is still relatively young.
Right.
And the potential for innovation and growth is immense.
Yeah.
We're seeing more mainstream adoption, institutional interest is growing. And it feels like we're just scratching the surface of what's possible.
It's an exciting time to be a part of this revolution, and we wouldn't be able to navigate this complex world without resources like Milk Road.
They make it easy to stay informed about the most important trends, and their analysis is top-notch.
Right.
I always find myself learning something new from their newsletter.
Well said. So to wrap up this rapid-fire rundown of market predictions and potential altcoin madness, the best advice we can give is stay informed, stay curious, and never stop learning.
Yeah.
And the easiest way to do that.
Subscribe to Milk Road. Their daily dose of crypto wisdom will keep you ahead of the curve. You'll find the link in the description.
Until next time, happy investing.
Happy investing.